G'day folks and welcome to another episode of Bushbeat, our final episode before Origin 3. Good luck Queensland. This is Costo and this is the show where we shine a light on country rugby league across the great southern land, from Bundaberg to Bateman's Bay and Wangaratta to the Whitsundays. Coming up on the program, we talk to a couple of local legends in outback Queensland. One of them, a founding father of his local club. The other, well, he's won no less than 9 premierships, I kid you not. One less than the legendary Les Clews, who, in case you didn't know, cleaned up from Tumbarumba in southern New South Wales all the way through to Wandai in Queensland's Wide Bay Burnett. Our two special guests today joining us on the back of last weekend's grand final in the central west of Queensland, where the mighty Barcaldine Sandgoannas are still celebrating, I understand, as we speak. And what a big game it was. And a big thank you to the Sandgoannas and the Central West Rugby League for getting us there to broadcast the season finale between those two clubs live and free on rugbyleague.com. After the break, we go through the scores and draws for New South Wales and the ACT. That is next on Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com and our segment on New South Wales and the ACT, starting with the Denton Cup in Newcastle. Last weekend, Maitland, the defending premiers in that part of the world, they defeated Curry 24 points to 10. Western Suburbs thrashed Souths 36-14. Lakes United 28-14 winners over the Northern Hawks. Wyong 26-6 over the Entrance, and Central scraped home 24-22 against Macquarie Scorpions. The latter, Wyong now on top, the Roos just in front of Maitland on 15 points on for and against. Next we have Western Suburbs and Souths, the Rosellas and Lions both on 14, Cessnock and the Entrance on 12, then 4 teams on 10, Lakes, Central, Macquarie and Curry. And then in the cellar, we've got the winless Northern Hawks on 2 points. This Saturday, 3 big matches at 3 o'clock. The Rosellas at Cessnock, Souths at Curry and the Hawks at Maitland. And on Sunday at the same time, a home game for Central, the Butcher Boys up against Lakes and the Entrance hosting the Scorpions. In the neighbouring Hunter Valley, Group 21 action, the Alan Cox Memorial Shield contested at Denman last Saturday when the Greyhounds came to town. The Shield in memory of the former Denman and Singleton player, and in first grade the Greys beating the Devils 24-12, largely thanks to Lachlan Farr getting a double inside the final 15 minutes. Elsewhere, Greta edged out visiting Scone 30 points to 28, and Aberdeen won 26-16 at Muswellbrook. The latter after round 9, Greta, Branxton and Singleton first and second respectively on 10 points, then 3 teams on 6, Scone, Muswellbrook and Denman, and Aberdeen after their second win of the season on 4 points. For this Saturday, the table-topping Colts off to Aberdeen, kick-off is 5:30, and on Sunday, the Greys back at Pertec Park to face the Rams. That's at 2 o'clock, and at the same time, it's the Thoroughbreds versus the Denman Devils up at Scone. Up over the range and onto the Liverpool Plains, Group 4, Boggabri last weekend, 52-0 winners at home over Dungowan, Cootie 22, Norths 44, Moree Boars 30, Gunnedah 4, Weewar 18, Werris Creek 60. The Group 4 ladder, Werris Creek on top, 17 points, they're the team to beat. Norths and Boggabri second and third respectively on 13 points. Next, we have the Boars on 12, Gunnedah 11, Dungowan 4, Cootie Roosters 2, and poor old Weewar on 0. This Saturday in the Whitehaven Coal Premiership, Norths welcome Boggabri as Gunnedah host Werris Creek, and on Sunday the Boars make the trip to Dungowan in Cowboy Country as the Panthers visit Katingal. All those games starting at 2:45. Further north in Group 19, where the cold weather continues to bite, like most places, I reckon, in the southeastern part of the continent. Tingha 34, Glen Innes 14, Uralla 44, Narwin 6, Inverell 66, Boomerang 16, and Warrielda 12, Gyra 24. The latter, Inverell 21 points, Tingha 15, Glen Innes 14, Gyra 11, Uralla 10, Boomerangs 9, Warrielda and Narwin on 6. For this Sunday, the Boomerangs off to Gyra, and the Super Spuds have confirmed it is definitely on Sunday. But last I checked the draw, Glen Innes at home to the Super Spuds on Saturday. Work that out. Very confusing for us outsiders. On Saturday also at Newling Oval, we have Narwin versus Inverell and the Wombats playing Tingha at Warrielda. At 2 o'clock, start it is for all matches, or at least we think so. Down into the Northern Rivers, last weekend, Casino 26, Evans Head 22, Kyogle 16, Coogin 38, Bilambil 18, Ballina 30, Marist Brothers 42, Byron Bay 6, Mullumbimby 38, Northern United 22 and Tweed Coast 18, Lower Clarence 18. And last but not least, Tweed Heads 20, Moolumbar 40. To the ladder in the Northern Rivers, Coogin on top on 18, Bilambil 14, Marist Brothers 13, Ballina and Evans Head on 11, Casino, Murwillumbah and Mullum on 9, Kyogle 8, Lower Clarence and Tweed Coast 7, Tweed Heads on 6, Byron Bay 2, Northern United on 0. This Saturday, Marist Brothers off to Evans Head, and on Sunday, Northern United host Tweed Coast, Mullumbimby off to Ballina. Casino travel to the home of the Mustangs to play Murwillumbah. Byron Bay welcome Kyogle. Lower Clarence play Tweed Heads at Yamba. And what is surely the match of the round by a country mile, the table-topping Coogin host second place Bilambil. Kick-off in all those games, by the way, 2:45. In Group 2 in the Tooheys new premiership last weekend, Maxville won 28-24 at Sawtell. The Grafton Ghosts copped a touch-up at Nambucca, the Chooks winning 52-10, and the Seahorses getting the result down at Coffs. Woolgoolga 18-4 winners against the Comets. The ladder in Group 2, Woolgoolga 15, Nambucca 12, Sawtell and Maxville 10, South Grafton 9, Coffs 4, and the Grafton Ghosts on 4. This Saturday at 2:40, Maxville host the Seahorses. And at the same time up in Grafton, the Ghosts welcome the Rebels in a massive local derby, of course, in the Jacaranda City. And on Sunday, also at 2:40, Sawtell at home to Nambucca. In Group 3 last weekend, Foster Tuncurry 10, Old Bar 38, Port City 10, Port Mac Sharks 20, Warhope 22, Wingham 14, Macleay Valley 58, Taree City 6. The Sharkies leading the way on 12 points, Macleay Valley 11, Old Bar 9, Wingham 6, Warhope 4, Port City and Foster Tuncurry both on 2, and on 0, Taree City. This Saturday at 3 o'clock, Old Bar v Taree City as the Sharks welcome Foster Tuncurry. The home teams there being, of course, the Pirates and the Sharkies, as mentioned. And then on Sunday at 2:45, Port City at Wingham and Warhope on the road to Macleay Valley. On the central coast of New South Wales, last weekend, Wyong beat the entrants 22-18, Terrigal 18-12 over Berkeley Vale, Woy Woy 40 beat Ourimbah 22. And in that top-of-the-table clash, Erina, the high-flying Eagles, defeated Toukley 18-4. The ladder, Erina on top on 17, Wyong and Toukley 12, Kincumber 11, the entrants 10, Terrigal 8, Ourimbah and Woy Woy 6, and Berkeley Vale on 4. This Sunday at 1:25, the entrants at home to Ourimbah, and then at 3:05, Toukley host Berkeley Vale, Kincumber at Terrigal, and at Woy Woy, the Roosters play Erina. And by the way, we asked the New South Wales Rugby League about that punch-up off the field at Kincumber last month, and still no response. In the Macarthur, Kangaroos 48, Narellan 8, Camden Rams still undefeated, the current holders of the Clayton Cup, 28-18 winners against the Oaks, Mittagong 76, Thirlmere 10, Goannas 28, Collegians 42, and East Campbelltown 22, Oakdale 40. To the ladder, the undefeated Rams on 22 points, Oakdale 18, Collegians 16, the Oaks and Roos 14, Mittagong 12, Picton 10, East Campbelltown 8, Thirlmere and the Goannas 6, and Narellan on 4. This Sunday, Collegians and East Campbelltown at Bradbury, Roos at Mittagong, Narellan host Camden, Oakdale host the Oaks, and at Vic Park in the Battle of the Wallandilly, it's Picton Magpies at home to Thirlmere, and all those games start at 3 o'clock. Back on the coast in the Illawarra in the Harrigan Cup last weekend, Collegians too good for the visiting Canaries, 42 points to 10. West 18, De La Salle 24, and in the Battle of the Beaches, Corrimal 24, Thurrool 22. And the table, Collies on top on 14, West 10, De La Salle and Dapto 8, and Thurrool and Corrimal both on 4. This Saturday, West hosting the Canaries, and the Butchers welcome Collies. And on Sunday, our rejuvenated Cougars, I dare say, they entertain De La Salle. All games start at 3 o'clock. Further south in Group 7 last weekend, Gerringong beat Jamboree 26-18, Kiama 26-0 over Nowra, Shellharbour 52-18 over Berry, and Milton Ulladulla 21-4 victors against Stingrays. The ladder in Group 7, Shellharbour on 16, Rays 14, Kiama, Gerringong, Albion Park on 12, Milton Ulladulla 10, Jamboree 8, and Nowra and Berry on 6. This weekend, Group 7 with its NAIDOC round. On Saturday, Rays off to Berry as Albion Park, Oak Flats welcome Milton Ulladulla, And on Sunday, it's Nara v Jambaroos at Bomber as the Sharkies host Kiama, all games starting at 3 o'clock. In Group 16, congratulations to Maruya Sharks, who celebrated their centenary last weekend. On the field, Marimbula Pambula Bulldogs 26, Eden 22, Bega 20, Bombala 12, Narooma 4, Tathra 48, and Cooma winning 28 points to 4 at Bateman's Bay. To the ladder, the Bulldogs on top on 18, Tathra and Eden 14, Cooma 10, Narooma 9, Maruya 8, Bombala 7, Bega 6, and Bateman's Bay on 2. This Saturday, we've got Maruya at Tathra and Narooma at the Dog Pound, and on Sunday, Eden at Bega. And up in the high country, this should be a ripper, always is, Blue Heelers v Cooma at Bombala. 3 o'clock starts across the board. In the Riverina in Group 9 last weekend, another costly defeat for Junee. South City beating the Diesels 19-12. Elsewhere, Young 86-6 winners over Brothers. Tamora knocked off Gundagai 22-12. Roos 56-6 winners against Cootamundra. And Albury upstaged Tumut 44-26. To the ladder, Roos on top on 20, Tamora 15, Gundagai 14, Tumut 13, Young and Albury both on 10. South City, the Bulls on 8, Junee 6, Coota 4, Brothers with the big fat 0. And on Saturday, we've got Roos and Gundagai at the Geo Hex. Across town at Harris Park, Brothers play Junee in memory of Rick Keast, whom I can remember from my days in Wagga. A game that's of great significance to both clubs there. And Tumut play Cootamundra at Twickenham. On Sunday, Thunder versus Pickers at Albury as South City play Tamora at Harris Park. Kickoff is 2:35 for all matches. In the Central West, in the PMP, no fixtures this weekend, but last weekend, Mudgee 30, Forbes 26, St Pat's 48, Ningan 20, Parks 56, Panthers 10, Wellington 12, Orange Sims 38, Hawks 48, Macquarie 6, Dubbo Sims 44, Lithgow Workies 10. To the ladder, in the PMP, Dubbo Sims, Mudgee and Orange Sims on 16, Forbes 15, Wellington 14, St Pat's 12, Hawks 11, Macquarie and Parks both on 8, Ningan 6, Panthers and Lithgow on 4. In Group 20 last weekend, DPC won 22-18 against TLU. Black and Whites 16-12 over Leeton. Yenda flog West Wyalong 58-0 and Waratahs 46-30 winners against Yanko. To the ladder, Waratahs on top on 20 points. Leeton and DPC 14. Yenda 12, Yanko 11, Black and Whites 10, Hay 9, West Wyalong 6 and TLU 4. This Sunday at 2:30 we've got Hay at home to Yanko. West Wyalong hosting Leeton. Black and Whites welcome DPC and Waratahs at Yenda. In the Woodbridge Cup last weekend, Orange United 30, Canowindra 44, Cowra 34, Molong 14, Cargo 8, Oberon 62, Eugowra 14, Peak Hill 50, and Condo 10, Manildra 42. To the ladder, Manildra, Oberon and Cowra on 18 points, Canowindra and Orange United, Trundle and Condo, all those teams on 12, Peak Hill and Molong 11, Eugowra 10, Grenfell 4, and Cargo down the bottom on 2. For this Saturday at 3 o'clock, we've got Manildra at Trundle as Peak Hill host Condo, and on Sunday from 2 o'clock, Eugowra at Cargo, Canowindra at Molong and Cowra at Oberon. In the Castlereagh League, Barradine 22, Warren 46, Narromine 28, Cobar 16, Canamble 32, Gulgong 36 and Coona 20, Coolah 22. To the ladder, in the Castlereagh, Coolah on top on 27, Coona 23, Narromine 22, Gulgong 21, pretty close, isn't it? Cobar 19, Canamble and Dunedoo 17, Warren on 14, and Barradine on 10. This Saturday, another home game for Barradine. Magpies v Gulgong, Narromine at Dunedoo, Coolah at Cobar and Coona at Warren. They all start at 2:30. To the Pro 10 Cup, Burrell and Rams a no-show at Hillston, we understand. So the other two games there, Rankin Springs defeating Ivanhoe 18-10 and Narandra 38-20 over Gulgowie. To the ladder, in the Pro 10, Rankin Springs and Ivanhoe 8 points, Burrell and Narandra on 6, Hillston and Gulgowie 4, Deniliquin on 0. And speaking of Danny, that is the venue this Saturday. Blue Heelers play Ivanhoe, Gulgowie tackle Rankin Springs, and Hillston play Narandra. In the ACT and the Canberra Raiders Cup, last weekend Gungahlin 14, West Belconnen 24, Woden Valley 20, Belconnen United 20, Roos 40, Goulburn 16, and Yass 16, Bushrangers 24. To the ladder, Roos and Blues on 14, West Belconnen 13, Woden Valley 11, Belconnen United 7, Gungahlin and Tuggeranong 6, Goulburn 5, Yass on 4. On Saturday, Tuggeranong and home to Woden Valley, Blues and Belconnen United at Seaford, Roos on the road to Yass and Goulburn host Gungahlin, 3 o'clock kickoffs. And finally, Canberra's George took Shield. Last weekend, Snowy River Bears 6, Crookwell 46, North Canberra 18, Bungendore 28, Stars 4, Gugong Goannas 32, and Harden 22, Burrawa 10. To the table in the GTS, Bungendore on 11, Harden 10, Bynalong 9, Burrawa and Crookwell 8, Snowy River Bears 6, North Canberra Bears 2, and the Goannas 2, and the Stars on 0. This Saturday, Burrawa at Bynalong, 2:15 kickoff, and at 2:30, Snowy River Bears hosting Harden, Stars at home to North Canberra. Wow, we got through that. After the break, the first of my special guests as we go bush on Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com, and one of my special guests here in the central west of Queensland, out of Barcaldine. He's a legend with the San Goannas, Mick Hansen. And I say that very candidly in front of him because he won not one premiership, not two, not three, 4, no, 5, no, 6, no, 7, no, 8, no. You got it. He won 9 premierships with the Barcaldine San Goannas. Mick Hansen, welcome to Bushbeat.
Thanks, Chase. Yeah, it's nice to be here, mate.
9 grand final wins for you. I got to pinch myself saying that.
Yeah, I know a lot of blokes obviously go through their whole footy career and not win one or chase that one. So I've been very lucky to be in some very good teams. So I have been chasing 10 for quite a few years, but I just can't get it. I think retirement's beat me now. So.
Well, hang on. A little bird told me that you actually were training early this year and you were, well, I don't know if you're registered with the San Goannas, but you were thinking about it. You were in training and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I do like to stay fit. As most years, I try and do pre-season with the boys. But, they had plenty of young fellas this year. So I'm like, she's all good. I'll just sit in the background and watch these fellas go around. Too quick. I'm getting a lot slower and it takes me all week to recover now. So I thought, I'll just give the young fellas a go.
Well, speaking of the young fellas, along the way, those 9 premierships, one of the thrills for you, no doubt, as a parent, was playing with one of your kids.
Yeah, definitely. I got to do that the last couple of years. I played with my young fella, Casey. So it was great coming off the bench. Actually, he used to play hooker most games, so I'd actually come off the bench and give him a blow out of hooker or wherever. But yeah, it was really good. I loved it, every bit of it. So yeah, I just wish I was still a bit younger. I could do a few more years, but.
And speaking of Casey, last Saturday night, he was among the heroes for the San Goannas. First grand final for Barcaldine in Barkey in 16 years, and your boy part of that premiership winning team. A huge thrill for not only you as a parent, but also the wider community here in Barcaldine.
Yeah, 100%. It's the best feeling. I know what obviously winning a few grand finals, I know what it feels like, but I'm so happy for him. Yeah, he's been pretty consistent the last couple of years, actually. For him, so he's been playing good footy, and it's just good to see these young fellas, especially him, having the best time really out there.
And he wasn't the only Hansen on the field.
No, there's their nephew as well. I've always also played with him. There was another one supposed to play, but he was crook. But so this Hansens are quite thick in Barkey. I've got another son that's hopefully going to play next year, so he's old enough to play A grade next year if he wants to have a go. So that'll be fun.
And speaking of next year, is it a case of never say never, or do you think you've put the cue in the rack, that's it for Mick Hansen?
No, that's the problem with me. I always think I can do something until the body cops a hit, and then you go, oh, Jesus, what am I doing this for? But I still love the contact. It's just the body's broken now, So I just, I'll see. I'll go to training again next year, and we'll see where we're at. You never know. If they run a few short, I might lace them on again and see how I go, but at this stage, I enjoyed retirement and I like watching my boys play, so I think I'll stay that way for a while.
Now, records in bush footy sometimes can be a bit hard to obtain and depends on how you see these things, but your 9 premierships with the San Goannas, you're not alone. Is that right, or was that what you think?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, there is a Buff Arthur, I'm pretty sure, has 8 or 9 at least as well, so I'm pretty sure he's in the same boat as me. I'm not too sure. There is Lyle Balderson as well. He'd be up there as well. I think he's 8 or 9 as well, possibly. But I think, us 3 are pretty up there. We've been chasing that 10 for a long time, all of us. So it's probably never going to happen, to be honest.
And the man you called Buff Arthur, I think I can remember him in I've got to go back, 30 years playing local footy in the Central West, and he spent a little bit of time with the South Queensland Crushers.
Yeah, correct. I can't remember what year that was, but yeah, that was just before I come in day grade. He was playing for Crushers and that, so yeah, he's really done really well for himself through footy. Buff, good player, so.
And you mentioned Lyle Balderson, part of the famous Balderson family in the Central West, synonymous with rugby league in this part of the world.
Yeah, definitely. He's played a lot of footy. Lyle, he's got around coaching as well, done a bit of Central West coaching as well. So he's really spent a lot of time through footy. I know he played into his 40s as well, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, he's really real hard man sort of finished in the centres there for a bit, but he's a very wise footballer, really good.
Now, south of the Tweed, there's a bloke called Clews. He seemed to win premierships wherever he went. He was like one of the travelling Wilburys of rugby league, going from town to town. He won 10 premierships all up, and I think he might have won 4 Clayton Cups, which is for the top club in New South Wales country footy. The fact that Cleel won 10, does it whet the appetite? Is this all news to you that there's a bloke out there, and a colossal figure, particularly in New South Wales, although he did play at Gundawindi in Queensland? Les Cleel with 10, Mick Hansen with 9. Are you thinking about it now?
Oh, no. I really would love to. It hurt last night seeing the boys obviously win one, and I thought, I just had to get serious. But to be honest, like I said, I didn't want to keep these young fellas out. That there's plenty of them. Like I said, I'm getting older and slower now, so these fellas are too quick for me. So I just thought, I'll just love watching them now, and it is good fun. But records are always there to be broken too. So I'm pretty sure there'd be heaps of players out there who've probably won 9 or 10 grand finals through their comps. So I'm just one of those lucky ones that have been I suppose in a lot of good teams. So.
Well, just looking at you, you're looking great, Nick. You obviously look after yourself and then some. And you've even taken up the whistle. You've actually done some refereeing in the Central West, and like a lot of places, struggling for referees and doing your bit.
Yeah. Well, that was my way of just sort of obviously keeping footy alive. Just sort of got pushed into reffing a little bit. Not pushed into it, I should say. More so just sort of took a dab at it just because we didn't have any refs at the time, and footy was obviously dying. Went through that bit of a period where footy was sort of running off in the bush a little bit. So yeah, someone had to ref and that. So that's a way of keeping fit as well. And I'd liked that part of the game and still been out in the middle, and so that was my way of just giving back a little bit as well.
And just finally, before we leave you, the premiership victory, the latest success for the Sandgoannas. I got to say, I've been to a lot of country towns where rugby league's important. It's just amazing here in Barcaldine how much people love it, and how the players after the game treated like rock stars. Quite remarkable.
Yeah, footy is everything out here. Everyone, obviously, the town gets right behind it. It's the best feeling. As I said, if you ever have the chance to obviously be involved, or even if you don't play footy, just being involved in the town in a grand final week is the best feeling. And that's what I say to the boys, just lap it up. Like, obviously, like I said before, you could go all your career without feeling this feeling, and if you do get to feel it, just love it, honestly.
Great chatting with you, Mick.
No problem. Thanks very much, Jace.
There he is, Mick Hansen, Barcaldine Sandgoannas legend, 9-time premiership winner, and also, more importantly, I dare say nowadays, proud father in this part of the world. And congratulations again to the Sandgoannas on their latest success in the Central West. Stick with us, more to come right after this on Bushbeat. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com, where our theme is Central Western Queensland, and rightly so, because last Saturday I had the privilege of calling that grand final, an epic grand final between Barcaldine and the Longreach Ilfracombe Tigers. I'm joined now by someone who played for Central West back in his heyday. In fact, once upon a time he played against the South Queensland Crushers. Can you remember them? Well, this bloke certainly can. He played also for the Alpha Brumbies until he was, something like 50 years of age. Jeff Clews is his name. He's a stalwart of the Alpha Brumbies. Jeff, welcome to Bushbeat. I need to ask you from the get-go, what is the state of bush footy, at least in Central Western Queensland?
Hey, Costo. Rugby league in the West is something that's very passionate to myself, but also our town here at Alpha. We kicked the club off back in 92. We first started going along the lines of a name for the club. First of all, Alpha Brumbies. It didn't come easily. We kicked around a lot of different names, but then we decided on the Brumbies and our logo. And really, from then on, it was very, very easy. The town supported us wholeheartedly. We've always been fortunate to be able to attract all the local young fellas type thing. They born and bred here, play their junior football traditionally for the Gemfield Giants. We're joined there by players from Barcaldine, and we've travelled to the Highlands comp to keep the exposure to as much football as possible in their younger days as high as we can. And then we've come back to the West and been able to sort of bust up and play our for our towns. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, for those people not familiar with Central Western Queensland, can you explain to the audience around the world some of the geography and the challenges involved for the Alpha Brumbies? Because an away game against, say, the Diamantina Devils, that's no easy feat.
No, Costo. Look, it's about a 5-hour car trip between our furthest away games, and obviously we play just on dusk at most venues. So a trip to Winton will see us arrive back in Alpha anywhere between 2 and 5 a.m. The following morning, and obviously after you've played a game of football, that sort of a trip in a bus, the boys have had enough by the time we get home.
And we're talking about roads that are very different, obviously, to the Big Smoke. Livestock on the road, wild pigs, kangaroos in their thousands, and on it goes.
Yes, Costo. We deal with all those things in our day-to-day life, but we are just so proud of our small town and the ability to actually keep our side in the comp. And we're struggling to do that, but as far as we know, we've got a team again for next year.
I need to drill down into that. We're speaking with Jeff Clews here, stalwart of the Alpha Brumbies. How hard is it to attract players? Alpha used to have many railway workers in years gone by. That's all gone now, as I understand. How challenging is it to put a team on the park and to get the money, the sponsorship, to make it happen? It's a 5-team competition, and you're part of it.
Yes, Costo. Jobs out here are a real challenge. We're very lucky. Our local council is on board in all our communities and very helpful. They offer different apprenticeships which help attract a few tradesmen or tradespeople, but it comes back to the people on the land mostly, and we just seem to lose more and more services in the bush. So yeah, it's just up to the people on the land. Now,
many of our Australian listeners, Clewsy, they'll be familiar with the song "The Pub with No Beer." You're in that situation where you've got the town with no pub.
Yes, unfortunately, Costo, we have had trouble keeping the doors open on our 2 pubs, and yes, we're down to just a golf club now that we're able to keep the doors open on.
You mentioned about the primary industry sector. You're in that up to your eyeballs. How significant is that in terms of the operation, in terms of having ringers playing for the Alpha Brumbies and throwing money in to make sure the team is on the field year in, year out?
Well, without primary industry out here, Costo, things just would not survive like they do.
And we're talking the cattle industry?
In our case here, yes, cattle only. There's no sheep or cropping in our areas.
And that's changed as well?
Yes, it has. It's just gotten tougher and tougher to keep viable, I guess.
What's it like? Can you paint a picture for people wondering what it's like to run on as a player or as a supporter, even to see your team run on at Alpha? Say it's a Brumbies game, a home game against Barcaldine. That's pretty big, I would have thought.
Oh, that's our biggest game for the comp. So as a player, you're clapped and cheered on. There is no feeling like running on in your number your hometown here at Alpha.
And you personally, put your cards on the table here. Don't be shy. You've been also involved with the Gemfield Giants, which play historically in the Central Highlands, so to the east of Alpha. But also, once upon a time, you were very much part and parcel of the setup with the Ilfracombe Scorpions.
Yes, Costo. I was fortunate enough to play a lot of my early football for the Scorpions, at which time I was dual signed with the Scorpions and the Gemmies. But the Scorpions certainly taught me the rough and tumble style of football that we enjoy here in the West. You don't leave anything on the track.
And one of your highlights as a player, going back many years ago, 30 years ago, playing against professional players, the South Queensland Crushers. We don't have the Crushers anymore, but you've still got the memories.
Yeah, for sure, Costo. The first tackle of the game, I think I was involved in the first tackle in the game, and luckily it was against a winger from the Crushers. I don't think I've ever been hit so hard in all my life.
There were some big names playing that day. Can you remember anybody in particular?
Oh, look, Costo, names escape me, I'm sorry. But look, it was just a highlight to be involved in that level of football.
And this is representing the Central West?
This is, yes, the West, yes.
One final question. We've just had the grand final. How have you given any thought to you and the committee to next season with coaching staff or players? Or it's a long off season here in the bush, isn't it?
Yeah, Costo. We haven't had another meeting yet to sort of put next year into shape. But look, everybody's coming back. Everybody's keen. We just hope we can get a field on the paddock. We wish you well. Thanks, Costo. There he is, one of the great men of the Alpha Brumbies, Jeff Clews, speaking to us here on Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com. Let's now have a look right across Queensland. Firstly, that grand final in the Central West last weekend. Congratulations again to Barcaldine. 28-22 winners over Longreach Ilfracombe Tigers. Rocco Hunt, the fullback for Barkey, man of the match, but they had heroes right across the park, I got to say. It was a real pleasure to call this game live and free on rugbyleague.com. Plenty of great performances also for the Tigers. Jacob Bulkey in particular, the hooker, he was outstanding for the Tigers, but well done to all concerned. Our thanks to Nadia Hode from the Central West Rugby League, Reece Peacock from the Sangoanas, and everybody else for making it possible for us to call that epic season finale in the Central West out of Barcaldine last Saturday. It was great to catch up with some old faces, including Parker Dancy, local legend himself, and former Origin great Steve Price. Back on the coast in far north Queensland, Innisfail Leprechauns weren't able to deliver on home soil last weekend, and that big local derby as part of rivalry round. Tully Tigers getting the chocolates at Callender Park, 28 points to 12. Up on the Tablelands, Mareeba defeating their old enemy, the Roosters. They beat Atherton 30 points to 22. In the Sunday matches, a big win for Yarrabah. Well done to the locals there. 40 points to 26 over the visiting Sharks. Edmonton 16, no match for Kangaroos 64. And Cairns Brothers with that big crowd at Stan Williams, where the place looks very different after that multi-million-dollar upgrade. Cairns Brothers, they cooked Ivanhoe's, their old rivals, 42 points to 6. To the ladder in far north Queensland, Cairns Brothers leading the way on 22 points, Atherton and Suburbs 20, Mareeba, Mossman 13, Tully, Roos and Hose on 12, Innisfail, Yarrabah on 10, Edmonton 0. This weekend we've got Suburbs v Roos, or Suburbs v Brothers, I beg your pardon, from 5 o'clock, and then from 6 o'clock it's Atherton at Innisfail and Roos at Mareeba, and then on Sunday from 3 o'clock, Edmonton at Mossman and Ivanhoe's at Yarrabah. In the Townsville Rugby League last weekend, Brothers won 40 points to 14 at Charters Towers in Herbert River, or Ingham to be more precise. The Burdekin went up there, but Herbert River just beat them in a close one between these two old rivals. Herbert River 14-12 over the Chooks. A 24-all draw between Western Lions and Norths, and Souths having to dig deep to beat Centrals, 30 points to 16. Souths leading the way, the Redmen on 20 points, Brothers 16, Herbert River 12, Burdekin and the Towers on 10, Norths and Western Lions 7, Centrals in the cellar on 6. This Saturday we've got Burdekin v Norths from 4:30 as Western Lions welcome Charters Towers, and on Sunday also at Neil Stewart, it's Souths versus Herbert River at 3:30. In the Mackay competition last weekend, Souths smashed Whitsunday 62-14. Brothers beat Moranbah 40 points to 24, and Serena, their first win of the season, 24-22 winners against Western Suburbs.
To the ladder, Souths and Moranbah on 18, Brothers 16, Magpies and Wests 8, Serena 6, Whitsunday 4. And for this weekend, we've got a potential grand final dress rehearsal at Moranbah on Saturday, 7:30pm, Miners versus Souths. And a lot of excitement in Moranbah. I was there during the week, particularly on the back of that announcement by the QRL with the Host Plus Cup Country Week, with Moranbah among the venues for later this month, with the Cutters playing Brisbane Tigers at Darryl Burke Oval. We'll tell you about that in the coming weeks. On Sunday in the Mackay League at 3 o'clock, it's the Green Machine in Proserpine. That's Whitsunday hosting Brothers, and at Glenella Magpies v Western Suburbs. No fixtures in the Central Highlands last weekend, nothing on the coalfields, so the ladder remains Middlemount and Brothers 18, Bluff 16, Tigers 15, Blackwater 11, Springshaw 10, Claremont 8, Peakdown 6. On Friday night, Brothers at Mackendou Park against Claremont, as Middlemount host Blackwater. 8 o'clock start for both those games this weekend. That's tomorrow night, or Friday night, I should say. And Saturday, we've got Tigers v Springshaw at Mackendou as Peakdowns welcome Bluff. 7 o'clock kickoff for those games. In the Rockhampton competition, which of course involves the Glaston clubs, last weekend, a 28-all draw between Valleys and Norths. Emu Park 74-0 winners against Glaston Brothers. Rocky Brothers defeated Fitzroy's because the Sharks forfeited. How embarrassing for everybody over at Salyards Park. And Yeppoon 48-12 winners over Tenham Sands. The latter, Rocky Brothers leading the way on 19, Emu Park 16, Yeppoon 14, Norths 12, Valleys and Glaston Brothers 6, Tenham 4, Fitzroy's 1. This Saturday, we've got Norths versus Glaston Brothers at 3 o'clock. Then at 6:30pm, Tenham v Valleys at Marley Brown. Rocky Brothers and Emu Park in a top-of-the-table clash at Victoria Park. And if they turn up, and I say if, Fitzroy's at home to Yeppoon. In Bundaberg last weekend, Brothers gave East a flogging, 52-24, in a high-scoring affair. In the other matches, Wallaroos defeating Western Suburbs 24-16, and Waves romped home against Harvey Bay, beating the Bay 50 points to 10. Waves leading the way on 19 points, Brothers 15, Wallaroos and Harvey Bay 9, East 6, West 2. And this coming Saturday at Salter Oval, we've got West v Waves and Brothers versus Harvey Bay, 3:45 and 5:30pm kickoffs respectively. And at 4 o'clock in Maryborough, it's Wallaroos and Easts. In the Northern Districts, no footy last weekend, so the ladder remains the same. The Isis Devils on 18, South Callan 14, Avondale 10. And then on 8 points, we've got Gin, Miriamvale and Calliope, and the Marlins from the Discovery Coast on 2. On Sunday, all roads lead to Avondale. Gin versus Calliope, South Callan v Miriamvale, and Avondale home to Isis Devils. The kickoffs 10:20am, 12pm and 3pm respectively. In the Central Burnett, Mundubbera beat Monto 48-16, Gayndah 62-0 over Eidsvold. The ladder, Gayndah, the Gladiators on top on 18, Biggendon 17, Mundubbera 13, Monto 8, Eidsvold 4. This Saturday, Biggendon is the venue, 3 o'clock kickoff for Eidsvold v Mundubbera, followed by 5pm Warriors v Monto. In the neighbouring South Burnett, Kingaroy 42-36 winners over Mergen last weekend, and Wandai, they upstaged Cherbourg 36-20, the first loss for the season for the Hornets. The table, Cherbourg still on top on 15, Kingaroy 10, Wandai 8, Mergen 3. On the Sunshine Coast last weekend, Kawana, well, they were no match for Noosa Pirates. Noosa winning 34 points to 14. Coolum beat Caboolture 38-18. A close win for Maroochydore, 22-20 over Caloundra. And at Woodford, the Wolves too strong for the Doggies, 36-6. The latest standings on the sunny coast, Stanley River still on top on 44. Coolum second, 36. Maroochydore third on 32. Noosa are on 26, Kawana 24, Biwa 20, Caloundra 18, Nambour 16, Caboolture 4. And this Saturday we've got Kawana at Nambour as the Wolves play Caloundra at Woodford. 5:30 kickoff for those games. And on Sunday, the Doggies off to Caboolture and Maroochydore hosting Noosa with those fixtures at 3 o'clock. In the Ipswich Rugby League, well, as I click over here, the results unavailable as I look at the screen. And likewise the draw. Sorry about that. Recapping the ladder, that works. Redbank Plains on 11, Jets 10, Brothers 9, Bombers 8, North 6, West End 4. To the Toowoomba Rugby League. Last weekend, a win for Dalby. They beat Highfields 32 points to 24. Gatton continuing on their merry way. They beat Gundawindi easily 40 points to 12. Pittsworth romped home against Souths 52-8. A close result between Wattles and Warwick. The Cowboys playing at home, but no cigar there for them. Wattles scraping home 32 points to 30. And Brothers big winners at Oakey 46-14. The table, Gatton leading the way on 20, Wattle 16, Brothers 14, Gundawindi and Dalby 11, Warwick and Valleys 10, Pittsworth 8, Oakey 4, Highfields and Souths 3. And this Sunday we've got Gatton v Wattles from 5:35pm in the final. That's Sunday 5:35 at Clive Berghofer in the final of the very historic Mads and Rasmussen, which goes up for grabs with the top two teams at the midway point of the season. It's a trophy steeped in history, steeped in tradition, named after two legendary figures in Mick Madsen and Elton Rasmussen, who were massive figures in the history of Toowoomba Rugby League. So good luck to both teams. That's Gatton and Wattles, who square off for the prestigious Mads and Rasmussen this coming Sunday at 5:35 in Toowoomba. In the Roma and District Rugby League in the latest round, City's way too good for the Magpies from Mitchell, 38 points to 8. Chinchilla knocking over the Battlers 34-12. Miles 44, St George 16. And a win for Gendowie. The Fishhooks too good for Wallumbilla Surat, 20 points to 10. To the ladder, City's on top on 32. Gendowie 22. Chinchilla 20. The Battlers and Miles 16. St George 14. And the Red Bulls and Mitchell on 12. Looking ahead on Saturday, the Red Bulls hit the road to play Taroom, or play the Battlers at Taroom, I dare say. That's a better way to put it. That's at 2 o'clock at Ross Burke. And then from 3pm, we've got Chinchilla at Mitchell as Gendowie hosts Miles. And on Sunday afternoon from 3 o'clock, it's Cities at St George. In the Border Rugby League, last weekend, Stanthorpe, the Gremlins, they flogged Inglewood at Inglewood, 86-0. The Roosters lucky to get to 0, they tell me. This Saturday, we've got Tenterfield hosting the Chooks. And as for the ladder, the undefeated Gremlins on 10, Tigers and Roosters on 2. Finally to the Gold Coast. Last weekend, well, again, we've got this problem. I can't see the scores because the site's down once again. And so too the draw. That's a bit unfortunate. But I can tell you that the competition ladder on the Gold Coast has Burleigh still undefeated on 20 points, Currumbin 14, Tugun 12, Runaway Bay 10, Helensvale 8, and Southport on 0. That, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the Sunshine State done and dusted. We got through that somehow. You're listening to Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Stick around. More to come right after this. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com. Jason Costigan's my name. Now, normally in our final segment, we go through the affiliated states, the emerging states, specifically Victoria, South Australia, WA and the Territory. But unfortunately, because of our technical issues, we have had problems in getting that stuff through, and we've run out of time. So I apologise for that. We'll look to rectify that, needless to say, between now and next week, so we get these places back on the map here on Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Before I sign off, I want to again thank my special guests on the program this week out of Central Western Queensland, Mick Hansen, the Barcaldine legend himself, 9-time premiership winner with the Sandgoannas. Great to catch up with Mick in Barcaldine after that epic victory by the Sandgoannas, which reminds me to again pass on my congratulations to everybody involved, to the Barkey Sandgoannas, Ricky Moxham, the coach, and Reece Peacock, the club president, and everybody involved. It was a marvellous day, a marvellous evening last Saturday night. Well done to all concerned. And also thanks to Jeff Clews from the Alpha Brumbies for joining me this week on Bushbeat, a legend in his own right and one of the founding fathers of the Alpha Brumbies in that part of the world. Great to catch up with both Mick and Jeff in the wake of that grand final that we called Live and Free last Saturday night at the Barkey Showgrounds between the mighty Sandgoannas, who lifted the trophy at the expense of Longreach Ilfracombe, who were very much gallant in defeat. Again, my thanks to Steve Mascord for pulling this together from our London bureau. I'm Jason Costigan. Again, thanks for joining us here on Bushbeat. We'll do it all again this time next week here on rugbyleague.com. And before I go, Queenslander, catch you next week.